Welcome to a deep dive into prison reform policies, where we explore the contrasting approaches of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. As District Attorney and California's Attorney General, Harris adopted a tough-on-crime approach, including prosecuting low-level offenses and opposing early prison releases for non-violent offenders. She defended California's use of the death penalty and supported initiatives like truancy prosecution to encourage school attendance. Harris introduced the idea of being smart on crime, advocating for a balance between public safety and criminal justice reform. She sought to reduce recidivism by supporting programs that offered re-entry services and diversion programs. As a senator, Harris co-sponsored the First Step Act, a bipartisan criminal justice reform law aimed to reduce mandatory minimum sentences, improve prison conditions, and expand early release opportunities for nonviolent offenders. She introduced the Justice in Policing Act, aimed at addressing systemic racism in policing and criminal justice. Harris has increasingly focused on addressing the racial disparities in the criminal justice system. She has supported reducing the use of cash bail and advocated for broader prison and sentencing reform to tackle mass incarceration. As Vice President, Harris supports policies to expand access to rehabilitation, reduce mandatory minimums, end private prisons, and address racial disparities. The administration has backed the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act and focuses on criminal justice reforms, emphasizing rehabilitation over punishment. Now we shift to Donald Trump, whose administration made headlines with the bipartisan First Step Act in 2018, marking a step forward in criminal justice reform. Yet, his tenure was also marked by a law and order rhetoric, a stance that sometimes clashed with reformative efforts. The First Step Act reduced sentences for nonviolent offenders, expanded early release opportunities, and introduced rehabilitative programs. The focus was on reducing recidivism through education, job training, and rehabilitative programs. Trump maintained a tough-on-crime stance. He pushed for harsher penalties, such as increasing penalties for violent crime, and frequently emphasizing strong support for law enforcement. The Department of Justice under Trump's administration reversed Obama-era policies aimed at phasing out the use of private prisons for federal inmates. Although the First Step Act benefited many minorities, Trump's policies did not focus on addressing racial disparities in the criminal justice system. A critical area of divergence between these two leaders is their approach to private prisons. Harris advocates for ending their use, emphasizing systemic changes for prison reform. In contrast, Trump maintained and expanded the use of these facilities. While both leaders have contributed to the conversation on prison reform, the underlying themes are different. Harris focuses on comprehensive reforms addressing racial injustices, while Trump's efforts are underscored by an unyielding focus on order.